Hello, it's Talking Transfers. It's John Gibbons back in the hot seat, and with Paul Gorst, who carried on without me valiantly as ever, but we're back here in the Dugdale Towers, and thanks to them as ever for hosting us. And here, we'll talk about transfers, but also new contracts and the new transfers, aren't they, Paul? Seem to be Liverpool. They're looking to tie down a couple more. Jordan Henderson one seems quite advanced. There's some Mo Salah talk this week as well. What's your understanding of where those two are up to? Starting with Henderson.
Well, Henderson, really interesting one, isn't it, the Henderson one? Because I think it come out of nowhere when it was reported. Was it about 6 weeks or so ago now, wasn't it? That there'd been a few rumblings behind the scenes, and perhaps progress wasn't as advanced as Henderson's team had hoped. And I think Liverpool fans were a bit floored by it and a bit, what is going on here? He's the captain, he's the leader, he's the Liverpool legend now, isn't he? So. Why aren't they getting this sorted? We know that FSG operates a little bit differently, and this is a player who's 31 and has been at the club for a long time, only 10 years in June. And sometimes the business point of view doesn't always kind of marry up with what the fans hope for. But it does now look as though there has been some kind of breakthrough. It was reported earlier this week, wasn't it, from David Ornstein at The Athletic, that all parties seem to be kind of coming along to a bit of a resolution, a bit of an agreement, and that seems to be the case. So, yeah, there was talk of interest from PSG and Atletico Madrid, and I'm not too sure how serious either of those were, particularly PSG. You've just signed, obviously, Gini Wijnaldum, and they've already got likes of Verratti and Di Maria and whoever else who can play in midfield, and certain Lionel Messi has just joined the wage bill, hasn't he? So, I'd never really thought that there was anything too strongly in that one. Atletico Madrid, a little bit different, but I don't think Jordan Henderson would be as effective and as good, for lack of a better phrase, for anyone else other than Liverpool at this point of his career. So it does look as though things are moving along in the right direction on that one, and hopefully it will be sorted, because although obviously FSG have got their apprehension of giving players in the 30s X amount of years, I think he's someone who is still an absolute elite athlete, isn't he, at 31. Still covers the most ground in Liverpool's midfield, and still, fine-tuned to perfection. And I think, as well, in this day and age as well, I think athletes, footballers go on a little bit later than, the old 31, 32, and then that's when they call it quits. You'd find that now it tends to be 36 and upwards. Look at Cristiano Ronaldo, a perfect example, isn't he? So, still some years left in Henderson's career at the moment, and looks as though they're going to be with Liverpool.
Yeah, it's really positive stories that we're hearing out of it, and out of the club on it, and from what we believe, Jurgen Klopp's, taking a bit more of an active interest in this one than maybe he normally does. I think Jurgen's, often leaves that stuff to somewhere else and is quite open to that. But I think on this one, he's not been able to help himself by the sounds of it, stepping in and going, no, he is so important to what we do. Let's get this one done. Yeah,
and I think maybe some people were a bit surprised that he didn't do that as much with Gini Wijnaldum. He was always talking about how much he wanted to keep him. We know Wijnaldum himself wanted to stay, and off he went to PSG on a free transfer. So he doesn't kind of step on the toes of Michael Edwards and the recruitment side of things too much. But yeah, it does look as though he's kind of made an exception here for his captain, and he might have had a quiet word or two. And he actually said last week, didn't he, in the press conference, he spoke to Henderson on Thursday, and it looks as though it's progressing well. So from what Klopp said and from what has been reported from people who are certainly knowledgeable with certain people in the industry and so on, it does look as though everything's looking good on that front. So Henderson could be the next one to doing the Melwood lean, or the Axel lean.
And then maybe the next one after that, Mo Salah. It's interesting with Mo, isn't it? Because he is such a superstar, and superstars command superstar wages. Liverpool aren't always quite ready to pay those, but do pay well. We've got one of the highest wage bills in the world, in world football, and they do look to reward players who've done well for them. Salah, he started like a superstar again on Saturday, didn't he? He was so impressive. Yeah. There was a poignant comment from his agent on Twitter saying, I hope they are watching. It's this Gini Wijnaldum day again that no one seems to quite sort of pin down. You feel like this one's got to be done at some point, but I don't know. It's maybe one that will rumble until suddenly gets announced.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. He's Liverpool's best player, best attacker, been the top scorer for the last 4 seasons. absolute elite, world level superstar. In terms of profile and ability, still in his 20s, why wouldn't you want to tie him down forever and ever?
All right, the Reds, thanks very much for getting stuck into that little snippet there of Anfield Wrap content. If you want the rest of that show and much more besides, click the link below, subscribe to the Anfield Wrap Premium, and for that you will get reviews, previews, exclusive interviews, post-match content, the full it. Get involved, follow us, follow them from the heart of Liverpool. Up the Reds.